I do have a few anecdotes, and I would start with the experience that A.V.M. Agarwal mentioned that, he was explaining to you about space flight, how in space, if you're standing and breathing, you will have a carbon dioxide pocket in front of your face, and oxygen would be coming behind you. And that would cause drowsiness or headaches or, space fog. Your mind will stop working. I don't know, a lot of you would be aware, but Indian Air Force has been efficiently replicating this same phenomena in the briefing rooms. When the flight commander is sitting in front of you with the FRC in hand and asking you emergencies, suddenly, I didn't know, but it was carbon dioxide. Anyways, my story, I heard Chief of the Air Staff also mentioning, I came across on the internet that accidentally he filled up the form for NDA, and I have a very similar story. I did not intend on joining the defense, but I did. And I filled up a form which one of my friends bought, and eventually one thing led to another. I cleared my returns, and thereafter the SSB and the medicals, and landed up in the NDA. And I remember I was sitting in the officers' mess, waiting for getting allotted whichever squadron I have to go to, and I had another kid next to me who came and he was sitting. He was from Sainik School, Tilaiya. And I had a purely civilian background. And then the adjutant came and he started inquiring him, okay, so which sports do you play? And he started, I play football, I play hockey, volleyball, basketball. I think he said everything. And then he turned to me and said, what do you play? I said, cricket. And he said, okay, both of you go to the hunter squad. And I had no idea of what it is, but I suddenly saw this guy next to me. He started sweating. And by the time we walked to this squadron, he was really jittery, and I was the one consoling him. So what? It is another squadron out of the 15th squadron. It doesn't matter. Little did I know that we started sweating once we entered the squadron, and it never stopped for next 3 years. Why I say this is important, because I think those 3 years really prepare you well for anything that life throws at you in future. When you have gone through those hardships very early, anything that comes your way in future, you are prepared. And I think this is very easy, a comparison. Difficult times, whenever you face them, you can go back to those times and say, is it worse than that? And I can tell you, nothing is worse than that. So it really sets you up for life. It sets you up for success. When I joined the Air Force, as a personality, I would say I was really shy, reserved, and sometimes, doubting yourself whether you are good enough or your decisions are good enough or whether you belong in the group we are talking about. But I think Air Force picked me up from that position and brought me to where I am today, and I think that has been very transformational for me. I would say that Air Force in general, but cockpit in particular, has been my greatest teacher in life. And you come across various things, various situations, and then you go from one situation to another, and you learn so many things that really develops your character. And I owe it to this uniform that I'm wearing, whatever time I've spent, to be the person that I was, who was ready to fill in the role that I'm filling right now. So thank you to the Indian Air Force. And sometimes, so I said I was reserved and shy. I think the Air Force took me from that spectrum and put me on the other side. And so when I went for this mission, my commander was Peggy Whitson, who is the most experienced American astronaut, having spent 695 days in space. I think she beats the record of some satellites as well. But when I first met him, my first joke to her was that, and I think a lot of you would already know this, but the joke was that, do you know what is the difference between a god and a pilot? And she said no. And I said, the God doesn't think that he's a pilot. So moving on, the journey from the Air Force has been great. I think I was commissioned in 2006, and I got posted to various places. In 2013, I got the opportunity to do the fighter combat leader course at Gwalior, which I really enjoyed. And thereafter, I was posted in Srinagar for a short stint, and I decided I wanted to be a test pilot, and I applied for that course. I was I had finished my course in 2018 when this announcement was made by the Honorable Prime Minister from the Red Fort that very soon a son or daughter of India would fly to space. And in 2019, as sir was mentioning, that the circular for selection came. And there were certain QRs or criterias, and I was there. I was not eligible in the original QRs because they wanted at least 2 years of experience as a test pilot. And I was really sad, and I was thinking, what should I do? I do not even qualify to apply. I went to my OC at that time, and I said, sir, I would really want to apply. Can we get over this QR requirement or something? And he looked at me and he said, after 41 years, this opportunity has come. Do you think anybody cares about QRs? Everybody in AST has applied. Just go and apply. Nobody cares. So I did apply, and then obviously the next 6-7 months were very grueling. Uh, Doctors became our worst enemies during those few months. I did not say to them then because they were doing my selection, but I did think in my mind that they were blood-sucking vampires. Whenever you go to IM, they would be standing with those tubes. Like, we want 50 ml, we want 100 ml. Like, it was a grueling experience, but it was type 2 fun. The fun that is only good in hindsight. You really don't enjoy it when it is happening. Sir has already given a description of how it happened. We went to Russia, we came back, and then we went a few times. And then once the 4 of us were selected, we landed up in Russia and we started training with the cosmonaut group at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center. And I think that was a very fascinating experience for me. It was not very different from what we do in the Air Force. Like, the training is similar because you are supposed to be interacting with the machine. And so the pattern is similar, but there are certain aspects which come in because when you go to space, you really are going to be living by yourself. So you have to learn various other disciplines which are not usually a part of our training. So I think that was very enlightening and enriching for us, this entire training in the Soyuz. We got trained as the flight engineer from the left seat of the Soyuz capsule, and we came back. We came back and we started working with ISRO for the project mission Gaganyaan. And we started interacting with designers of how to evolve our own capsule to make it as robust and as reliable as all the other capsules are. But then suddenly in 2023, I think this announcement was made again by the Prime Minister when he went to US, and he said that we should have a US-India collaboration and a mission to space. And as a fallout of that, Axiom 4 mission happened. Axiom 4 mission was a 2-week mission to the International Space Station, and my profile in this mission was as the mission pilot. So there is a commander, there is a mission pilot, and then there are 2 mission specialists. As a mission pilot, you are supposed to be interacting with the displays, with the capsule itself, so your training is slightly different as compared to the mission specialist. So you get additional training at SpaceX, as well as rest of the common training that you do at NASA. For the past 1 year, this entire experience has been nothing short of wonderful, I would say. It is very similar to what we did in Russia, but a very different approach of implementing or executing this entire mission. And I would be showing some glimpses and try to explain what I did in the past 1 year. But the point that I want to highlight before I move on to that section of my talk is that whatever I have done, whatever I have gone through, and whatever I have achieved, I feel that the background that I had, or the preparation that I had for years by being in this uniform and by being in the Air Force, that any one of us who's sitting here would have done an equally good job. And that is the confidence I carry with me whenever I see whatever life throws at you, the kind of character that Air Force has built up for all the people sitting here.